Welcome everyone. In this lesson, we're going to get the Kanban board loading inside of our app, and we're going to make it functional. So let's get started. We're in the app workspace, and we're going to be editing the app homepage. The first thing that we want to do is make it so that when the user clicks on the new Kanban board button, it opens our Kanban board into the component on the right side of the page. So let's look at how the profile button works, and we can use the same method. When the user clicks the Open Profile button, it runs the flow Open Profile, which has 3 actions inside. The first action is an Open Page into Container action. It's set to open the App Profile page into the component active page element that's on our app homepage, which is this element here. The second action is actually a nested flow. In Bildr, you can nest flows within other flows. This allows you to reuse the same flow across different parts of your page. So for instance, the Open To-Dos flow has the same deselect all menu items flow nested inside of it, which means that any changes we make to that flow will also happen when these other flows run. If we click into the deselect all menu items flow, we can see that it's running 2 actions as well. Both of them are set to remove a style class. This action type removes a style class from a selected element. So in this case, it's going to remove this style class, which changes the display of the menu item to selected. So when it's removed, that menu item will no longer look selected. And the reason for that is that when you click on one of these menu items, you first need to deselect any of them that are selected, and then follow up with another action that adds the selected class to the item that was just clicked. For our Kanban board button, we want the exact same actions to happen, just with different settings inside of them. So what I'm going to do is duplicate this Open Profile flow by clicking on the 3 dots and choosing Duplicate this flow. And then we'll change the name and get to work modifying our actions. So the first action, the Open Page into Container action, instead of opening the profile page, we want it to open our Kanban board. So we'll change the name of the action, and we'll also change the first input argument to select our Kanban board page instead of our profile page. In the nested flow, we also need to make a change there. So I'll click through. I basically want to run the same exact action again, but on this new menu item. So I'll duplicate one of these actions, go to my newly created action. We'll change the name, Kanban board, and we'll change the element that we're removing the style from to be the div that contains the Kanban board. By adding that action into this flow, this new action will now execute anywhere this flow is nested, so it will run in all 3 of our open flows. Back in our new Kanban board flow, we also need to make a modification to the third action. We need to change it to affect the new element that we created as well. So I'll click here and select the div containing our Kanban board text box. And then the last thing we need to do is set the onClick event of our new menu item on the Events tab on the click event to run the new Open Kanban board flow. So now let's jump over to the preview and see how this looks when it runs. So we'll go to preview. I'm going to open the home page. Now the Mullen template does require the user to sign up or sign in before they can access the app side of the project. So I'm going to go ahead and sign up with a test user. Once signed up, the system will sign us in and take us to the app. So now we can see on the left side, if I click on Profile, it changes the style to Profile. If I click on To-Dos, it changes the style to To-Dos. And if I click on Kanban board, it changes the style there as well. Now one thing to note here, it's showing us every single task because we didn't filter our data at all. Now for a system like this, where each user has their own task set up, we actually want to set some data collection settings that restrict access to this task data so that there's no way for one user to get access to another user's tasks. So let's go back into the studio and check out how to set up those settings. We'll open up the project menu and go to data collections, and we'll open up the tasks collection. In our collection settings, we need to set a few things. So on the tasks collection, we only want the tasks to be retrievable if a user is authenticated. We also only want tasks to be created or modified if a user is authenticated. We want to allow permanent delete, so we'll allow that. But we also need to enable user restrictions because we want to restrict the access to each record to only the owner or creator of that record. So in this way, when a user signs up for my task app and they begin creating their tasks, only they will have access to the tasks they create. So now if I go back over to the preview and refresh and go back to our Kanban board, we have no tasks, which is correct because my new user hasn't created any tasks yet. So that's it for this lesson. In the next lesson, we'll add the ability to create new tasks on each card, and we'll also make it so you can drag and drop them between the cards to change the status. Thanks for watching.